What is up, you guys? I have a brand new video for you, and today's video is just in time for Halloween, so I guess you consider today's video my Halloween special, because today's video's concepts are on Five Nights at Freddy's Halloween plushies. Plushies of spooky characters, like the Nightmares, or the Jackos, or the Halloween DLC characters, or the Curse of Dreadbear characters. Those are all be making appearances in this video, and yeah, I have a lot of edits to go through, so this video might be a little lengthy. Without further ado, let's get straight into the first concept. And the first concept is of Nightmare Fredbear. Nightmare Fredbear was one of the most memorable animatronics from Five Nights at Freddy's 4, at least to me, but it seems a lot of people agree on that, so I'm surprised Funko hasn't made a plushie of him. A lot of people have been wanting a plushie of him for years, so I feel like if Funko would make one of him now, then they'd use the new Freddy base that they used for Glam Rock Freddy, so that's exactly what I did here. I got the original Glam Rock Freddy plush. I made a base for any other plushies that I want to make in the future with this base. You can find it on my DeviantArt if you do want to make edits with this base. It's basically just a plain Glam Rock Freddy plush, no makeup, no design on his chest or anything, so it's kind of like a pattern. So that's what I did here. I got that pattern, I made it for the colors of Nightmare Fredbear. I gave him a lot of withering, I gave him his buttons, I gave him his purple bow and his purple top hat, I gave him his nightmarish eyes, his spiky teeth, his withering and his ears on his arms, and of course his stomach mouth. And yeah, I think this plushie turned out really good, and I think he would be one of the best-selling plushies if Funko ever decided to make one. And the next concept is of Nightmare. You can probably figure out why I made this plushie. It's because it's a simple recolor of Nightmare Fredbear. So, yeah, I changed Nightmare Fredbear's colors from all yellow to all black, and then I got his bow tie and top hat, and I made that yellow. And another cool thing that I added was a brain, because since Nightmare is translucent, and you can't really translate that into a plush, you can see some of Nightmare's endoskeleton, and he did have a little creepy brain. So I thought I'd add that to his plush to make it a little different from Nightmare Fredbear. And yeah, I think this would sell well. It'd kind of be like Shadow Freddy. Shadow Freddy was just a recolor of the normal Freddy, but a bunch of people want him. Now he's the rarest FNaF plushie. So yeah, I think Nightmare would do really good in this wave too. Now we are getting into some of the spookiest characters, or the most Halloween-type characters with the FNaF4 Halloween DLC, kicking it off with Jacko Bonnie. Of course, I think these would be perfect for a Halloween-type wave, because they are based on jack-o'-lanterns, and jack-o'-lanterns are made with pumpkins, and pumpkin is Halloween, so yeah. So the changes I made consist of changing Spring Bonnie, which I did use for the base, to orange. I also gave him a lot of withering, and I made that withering orange, and then proceeded to saturate it so it looked like a brighter orange. Then I made his bow tie a reddish orange. I also made his left foot gray, because Jacko Bonnie does have a missing foot there. I also gave him some glowing eyes with the withering on top of that, gave him some withering in his ears, and I gave him some nightmare teeth. And that is all I did for Jacko Bonnie. Again, I think he turned out really good, and I think he would make a great Halloween-type plush. And you can't have Jacko Bonnie without his counterpart, Jacko Chica. So for Jacko Chica, I used the FNaF4 Chica plushie as a base. Changes I've made consist of removing her eyebrows, making her orange, giving her a bunch of withering, and making that withering orange and very saturated so it looks like it's glowing. I also had to give her some nightmare teeth, and I also had to give her glowing eyes. Again, I do think if they ever made a Halloween plush wave, that the Jacko animatronics would be a necessity, because they were made to look like Halloween-type characters and fit the vibe for Halloween. So I do think if Funko did ever make this, they'd have to include the Jacko animatronics. And the last FNaF 4 character of today is of Nightmare Balloon Boy. So for Nightmare Balloon Boy, I obviously had to use the Balloon Boy Funko plush as a base. First thing I did for this plush was I moved the cheeks up so I could fit the big row of teeth that Nightmare BB has. His teeth are like so humongous that it actually separates his upper head from his lower head. So I did want to give Nightmare BB some very monstrous and humongous teeth, which is what I did. I couldn't make them very white, so I just left it with the gray version that Funko usually uses. And then I also had to change the blue on him to purple, and I also had to give him a blue propeller, light blue pants, some black buttons, blue eyelids, and I also had to give him some red nightmare eyes, but instead of black in the middle for his tiny pupil, I gave it white. And I also gave him the little kind of like dent with the hat that goes into the middle of his eyes. It was just like a small little detail that I wanted to include with Nightmare Balloon Boy. And again, I do think this plush turned out really good. And the first FNaF VR plushie of today is of Grim Foxy. So for Grim Foxy, I used the FNaF 1 Foxy plush as a base. Changes I've made consist of making his feet and hands gray, giving him some brown pants. I also had to give him some withering, and I also made that withering orange, and I saturated it so it looks like it's glowing. And I also had to give him some nightmare teeth. I gave him a gray snout. I gave him some gray ears. I was going to give him a hook, but I just decided on not doing that. I also gave him some glowing eyes, and I shaped the eyes to look like Grim Foxy's mean-looking eyes. And I also reshaped the eye patch a bit to make it kind of match with the other eye. Oh, and another detail is I took away his eyebrows. So yeah, that is all the changes I made to Grim Foxy. Again, I do think he would make it in this Halloween-type wave, because he is kind of like a Jacko animatronic. He's basically Jacko Foxy. So, yeah, again, I think he's a really cool design. He's a very cool character, very cool concept, and I think he would make it into a Halloween-type wave. And the last and final plushie of today is probably the plushie that took the longest to make. It is of Dreadbear. So for Dreadbear, the first thing I did was I had to make the base that I mentioned before that is on my DeviantArt for the plain Glamrock Freddy plush base. And this was a very long and tedious process. I had to use the clone stamp tool, and I had to get rid of all of Glamrock Freddy's makeup, which was a very annoying process, but eventually I did get it done, and I do not want you guys to go through what I had to do, so you can find the base on my DeviantArt if you ever want to make a plush edit using the Glamrock Freddy plush. And, yeah, I also had to get rid of the little design that he had on his chest as well. And getting into the actual Dreadbear design, I had to make him all green. I had to find a good dark green that would match it, and I eventually did. And then for a secondary color, I made it a kind of more lime-ish green. And then for the inside of his ears, Dreadbear doesn't have a kind of secondary color for his ears, so I had to take that away. I also gave him some kind of, I guess you could say, spring locks on his ears and also on his stomach. I also gave him some withering on his stomach because Dreadbear does have that big gap between there. I also gave him his big teeth that I took from the Springtrap plush, and I also gave him, I guess those can also be called spring locks on the side of it. I also had to give Dreadbear an actual bow tie. The Glamrock Freddy plush doesn't have a bow tie. Well, it's printed on. It doesn't have a real physical bow tie, so I wanted to put that on the actual Dreadbear plush. I gave him the, I guess, kind of glowing eyes that I used for the rest of the Jacko animatronics that I do think came out really good. And I also had to give him his big unibrow. And yeah, this edit took, I think, 30 minutes to make. And another funny story is the application I was using crashed. So that was just like really, really annoying. And I thought I was having like a breakdown. I thought I lost the edit. But I ended up remembering that I screen recorded it. So I took a screenshot from the screen recording and I redid it from there. And yeah, I do think this plush turned out really, really good. Probably the best edit in this video. And yeah, again, you can also find PNGs of these edits on my DeviantArt. I do recommend you go check me out there. It's like just a big space for all the edits I've ever made. And yeah, that is Dreadbear. So, thank you guys so much for watching. If you did enjoy, please like, share, and subscribe. Also, check me out on some other social medias. If you're on mobile, you can find it in my About page or the description. And if you're on PC, you can find it on my channel banner when you go to my channel, or you can also find it in the description as well. Happy Halloween to everyone. If you're not trick-or-treating, which you're probably not because of COVID, I hope you're either watching scary movies with your family at home, eating on some candy, or you can have a little get-together with like 3 of your friends, kind of like what I'm doing. And yeah, just eat a bunch of candy, get fat, and no, don't get fat, I'm just joking. But yeah, so thank you guys so much for watching. Have a happy, happy Halloween. I'm very grateful for all the support I've been getting recently. That last video I did on the FNaF Help Wanted plushies redesign did really well, and I thank you guys so much for that. I recognize that in some of the voice clips, it sounds like I'm about to cry, like in the Dreadbear one, I was like, and I think these eyes came out really good. And I just want to say that's just me being out of breath from talking for so long without taking a breather, so I apologize for that. And yeah, again, thank you guys so much for watching, and goodbye. Happy Halloween.